Good morning, everyone. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. So I'm so excited to bring a rock star director of operations, Melinda Love, for today's admin mastermind. Just so you guys know, we are previewing her this month, and then next month I am bringing in a MAPS director of operations. So for those of you that don't know, Keller Williams is very big into coaching, and they have a program called MAPS Coaching, and they have head coaches and coaches for every area or every role within KW. And so we're going to bring in a director of operations coach next month. So we'll get that super excited for that. So without further ado, so this is Melinda Love. She is the director of operations for Graddy Real Estate. And if you don't know where their team is, it's all the way up on the top floor. Since Melinda has been with Adam, she has helped grow his business exponentially. And so I'm so excited that she was able to take time out of her day to be able to pour back into everyone else. And so if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'll make sure Nicole brings a microphone to you. And then for those of you, we did pass around some of the organizational chart that we'll be covering. So if you didn't get one, Nicole will make sure that you got that. And I think Jen Wolf is back there and they got that. So Melinda, let's start with you. So how long have you been in this role?
I have been with Adam almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in August.
5 years. And then through this time, you have kind of developed. So when you first started with Adam, what were your primary responsibilities, and what are your primary responsibilities now?
So I started doing just contract to close, and knew that it was operations too, but there was no one else to operation, to delegate to. So it was just all contract to close and financial, a little bit of everything. So and now I am our director of operations, and that is all encompassing as well. Now we have 3 contract to close managers, and have a marketing director, and that's our admin team. And then I'll have 8 agents that are in the field every day. So, and then we have 2 expansion locations as well.
So Melinda kind of has a lot going on, as you can tell. So who are you directly over within your operation? Is it just the admin side of it, or?
The admin for sure. Then also I kind of had the hat of expansion director as well. So kind of leading the charge of expansion, overseeing those agents, helping them grow, helping our agent in Joplin. He's been with us for 2.5 years, and we just offered for him to have a buyer's agent. So we're growing his team, growing his business. We have doubled his business every year. So it's really exciting to see that growth. And I don't know, I get really passionate about just helping people build a business. Fun.
And for those of you that don't know, Melinda used to be the MCA, which is what my role is, a while back, probably in 2015, right?
Yeah, for 2 years, maybe. The years all blurred
Yeah.
together. I think it was 2014 to 20.
Yeah. And so when I took over the role, I had no idea what I was doing. So Melinda was running the Graddy business during the day, and then staying with me at the market center till 2 a.m. at night, helping me understand my role. So there was a lot going on during that time, and she was amazing in helping me figure out what the heck I was supposed to do. So that was
You're a rock star. So you are amazing.
So what did you do before real estate?
I was in contract food service. So I ran Evangel's food service for loved it. I loved serving people, taking care of students, built the catering business to, over $2 million in catering a year. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of challenges. And I think I'm a little bit crazy that I love a challenge. I love to be busy. I love to help build things.
So let's talk about systems. So if you're going to run a large operation like Melinda does, you have to have some pretty good systems in your tool belt to make sure you're running effectively. So give us a snapshot of your current day and what that looks like, and then we'll go more into what systems you've put in place.
Honestly, my day, I'm really wearing 3 hats right now. I'm wearing operations director, financial, like I do all the financials for 5 businesses. it's kind of a juggle at days. And and so some days it's, I may purely be focused on operations and just helping the team and answering questions. And we have our amazing admin team that handle all the contract to close, and they're taking as much as they can off of the agents' plates, including inspection notices, writing offers. So just the dynamics of that, trying to just answer any questions they come up through. And then some days I definitely have to focus on that. And then there's days I'm traveling to Joplin. I'm going to go to Joplin later today. Eric, our agent there, is on vacation. And so it's for him this afternoon. I go to Kansas City as well. So it really is a little bit, probably that's my greatest struggle right now too, is making sure to map out what that looks like every day and every week.
So for those of you that don't know, Adam has expanded into the Joplin market, which means that they have an agent that is part of the Graddy network there representing them. And then they've also just partnered with Josh Roy in Kansas City. So now they also have that area that they're covering as well for expansion. So through that, is all of your admin team licensed?
They are all licensed. Grace is the only one that is not, and she's just finished her classes and will take her test.
And you said that they're helping write inspection notices and things like that. So what does that look like for them compared to the agents?
We really built our business and our value proposition on giving agents as much leverage as we can. And in doing that, that is giving them, putting them focused on their 20% and getting them out in the field, getting appointments, taking listings. So taking all of that off their plate on the admin side is really what we build our systems on. And how can we do it? What systems do we need in place to do that? And so what that looks like is, if Eric needs to text to our admin staff, and whoever can do it just says, hey, I got it, and they're on it and they're writing the offer and telling them it's ready to send. And then once it's signed, when it goes under contract, we take care of everything. We set up inspections, we put everything to the title on the mortgage company, and all the people. And then when inspections happen, we're being that frontline communication with the client. And we literally are the person communicating with the client the most during that process. The showing partner or buyer's agent will still be in touch, or agent. But we're also allowing them to go out and still take care of next business as well. So the customer experience is, I think the admin team, in my opinion, does a really, really great job of taking care of the customer, because they're the ones that really care about all the details and they know what's going on. And so they're definitely in communication with the agent, but it's really neat to see. A lot of times when people are ready to buy and sell again, they're calling me, or they're calling our transaction coordinator, because that's who they had the most relationship.
So since there are so many, I guess, hands in the bucket for a transaction, what do you do to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on in the process at any point?
Question. And we really, it really starts with, if it's a buyer, like Carrie's doing a consultation and she's setting this expectation, showing them who our team is, showing them who's going to be reaching out and talking to them and getting them through the next step. And Carrie's always a phone call away, or whoever the agent is always a phone call away. So we set that expectation up front. The communication is, the agents we have a tracker and they can see any time and any point. We also do still have paper files, which we've talked about getting rid of those, but so we have both. And the agent can go in there and see anytime where we're at in the process. We do a buy-side team meeting every week, just all the buy-side get together and list side get together to communicate And I think that communication helps. You have to be like a basketball team. You have to be really good at passing the ball and being able to catch it too, and communicating and knowing when to ask for help and who needs help and uh, struggles. So, but I think it's just really effective communication.
Mhm. So is your tracker, is it like an Excel template that you've created, Trello? What system is it?
So we have a tracker that is an Excel spreadsheet that Adam started when he first started his business. So it and we're very transparent. Everybody can see everything on our team. Like everybody sees what Adam is making for expansion agents. So and we do that. That's really for the agents. It's to help them so they know what they have coming in that month and they can budget their bills. And the reason Adam did that is back when he started, he had to make some decisions on what bills am I going to pay this month, what income he had coming in. And so we just continue doing that. And it's a neat thing to see the year over year growth. Like we track everybody's monthlies numbers on their GCI and their volume. And, about a month ago, I was doing calculations of year over year growth for each agent. And it was really neat to see that, some were up 55% year over year, and some were up 66%. And being able to tell them, like, you just gave yourself a 66% raise this year over year. Like, that's crazy. So that tracker, we will never get rid of that tracker. But we also have a program called Sisu that we put everything into. We started using it at the end of last year, and it took a little bit to get all of our data merged into it, because before we were using all Excel spreadsheets like CTE. But with Sisu, it also has like a transaction management tool in there. It tracks all of our conversions for our ISA team and our agents, with contacts to appointments held or set to held to signed to closed. So knowing those conversion ratios is really important to us. Tracking our numbers, period, is really, really vital to growing a business and knowing where you're at and being able to look at those. If I was doing those agent year over year comparisons kind of mid-year this year, and I was seeing that somebody was like only at 20% year over year growth, then we might need to help either coach them or guide them or look into their business and see what's going on.
Yeah, that's great. And the program Sisu is SISU. I know it's a little weird when you hear it like that. And so when Melinda says that they've done Excel sheets for so long, her husband is an Excel guru. I don't know if you've ever heard, but Bob created all their spreadsheets for them, and he made it. So it was awesome when I saw them a couple of times. I was like, wow, that's very extensive. So that's pretty cool. So what do you think are the top 3 systems you wish you would have had in place at the very beginning when you joined Adam's team, so you could have been more proactive than reactive?
I thought about that, and you made me really dive deep into that. I think tracking has always been something. I love numbers. I love seeing that history of something. So that has always been something we've always done. But really, it's the training, as far as like creating a training manual. We've always done such a volume of business that they're really, I did create an operations manual, but to keep that updated and documented, that's probably been a challenge. And so now we're building the back end of our a URL website that's an internal one, where we're creating all the training videos for each person's job and what does that look like. And the reason we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One is we are going to utilize more VAs, and have to at some point when you get to the volume that we're at. You can hire another person, or you can utilize some VAs to do those repetitive tasks that are, like putting dates on the calendar, sending it to the title company, sending it to the lender. Like, those are things that I don't have to have Ashley, Courtney, or Grace do. It's something that anybody do. And so creating those little videos to train, also for the ISA team as it's grown, what does a call look like? What does a successful call look like? How do you dig and go 3 deep on questions? And we're working on that, but I wish I would have purposeful to make sure we were doing that the whole way.
And if you haven't, there's Monica Reynolds, the Perfect Real Estate Assistant class. That is one of the best classes we've seen because it's not just a class for you, but it's also a class for your rainmaker as well. And so through that class, you have to create your operations manual. And I think what Melinda said that really stuck to mind is it's a living, breathing document. It's not, oh, I've done it once, because where you're at in your business now is not going to be where you're at next year.
And you constantly do have to look at your systems and look at what you're doing and is it effective? Is it getting everything taken care of? And one thing that I constantly, especially as we're growing with expansion and we're putting more admin side, marketing, I am constantly asking them, you know, what are we doing that we shouldn't be doing that isn't moving our business forward, but it takes time. And let's keep identifying what that is and let's stop doing that. And then what are we not doing that we should be doing that's going to move our business forward that we could start to implement? So I ask them pretty much every week, like, think about those things and let's talk.
And then going back to numbers tracking, I know whenever you go through the KPA process with everybody, I mean, Melinda does the KPA with everybody that she is hiring or potentially hiring. And so through that, you understand where they want to be at in 5 years in terms of money. And so being able to show everybody what everybody's making and that transparency, have you felt like that has really helped your agents hit those goals?
Yes, I think the transparency is to showing an agent that, you know, so I'll give you an example. But I think it's key to showing an agent what could happen. And as you build this snowball, because it takes a little bit to build a snowball when you bring someone new in, whether it's an ISA or an agent, you have a little bit of time to build that pipeline and to build that client and that closed unit tracker. And so you have to be able to show them the bigger vision to get through that grit of those first few months to build that. And sometimes it can take 6 months to really have a really significant pipeline. You kind of have to show them that it's possible and we have done it. So I truly wouldn't do it any other way than but for an example, we just did an offer letter for an agent in Joplin to be our buyer agent for Eric, which I am super excited about.
So you don't have to drive to Joplin to show any more houses.
Right. And she, you know, I was on the phone with her going over the documents. And, you know, she currently, you know, it's all about splits and people they don't see, well, I'm making a 40% split now. So you're telling me I'm only going to have a 20% split. So I can't quite wrap my mind around that. So then I just sit there and I ask them to tell me what they did last year. And then let's calculate how many units you closed and let's look at that. And then let's look at if you do this many units, because our team can get you there at this percentage, what does that equal? And I mean, it's truly two different numbers, like 20,000 to almost 50,000. So when you can show them that trajectory of, it doesn't matter the split, that's just such an insignificant number, volume, and give you the support to do all the back end stuff and set the appointments for you, it truly makes, it's like rocket fuel.
Yeah.
It's really what you can show them.
Yeah. That's a really great book if you haven't seen it or read it, Rocket Fuel. So there's a visionary and an integrator. And so from the market center perspective, we talk about this. The TL and the OP are the visionaries and the MCA is the integrator. So your rainmaker on your team is the visionary of where you want to go. Let's think big. How do we get there? And then you as the director of operations, you are the integrator. So you are planning out the map of where you want to go from the visionary, and then it's your job to execute it. And so for Melinda's job, it's also to not only execute it, but to hold everybody else on their team accountable to executing that.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
I remember when Adam and I read it and it was like, he's like, that's you. And I'm like, yes. And there's times where I'm the visionary and he, you know, it's really neat to know like his vision is big. And it's really neat to see that he's such a visionary that sometimes he makes decisions. And I don't even think he realizes that those decisions really do have a path of what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
I don't think you've even, but I can see it, and I can see that big vision, and I think that's a really big key for you as an operations director is you one the keeper of culture, so making sure important culture that anybody would want to be a part of and never want to leave. It's really important. And the admin team, in my opinion, are our keepers of culture. And then two, um, helping build that vision as you're hiring people with your rainmaker, because you don't see it and you're not passionate about it. How are you going to convey that to someone else that you want to be part of your team and show them kind of, you don't have it all mapped out. I don't know what 2 years from now exactly looks like. I know we're going to be growing, and I know we're probably 1,000 units at that time, but I don't know exactly where we're going to have agents, and I don't have it all mapped out, but I know it's possible, and I know we're going to get there. So, I think that's really key for you to share. Make sure you're communicating with your rainmaker. Make sure you're talking to them regularly, and don't hesitate to go and talk to them when you're having frustrations. Like, you have to talk about it, and you have to, because your perspective could be totally different than their perspective. And if you talk about it, you might both get complete what to fix and how to get there.
The transparency moment, what has been the biggest challenge in your role?
Ah, I am definitely a glass half full person and love a good challenge. So I kind of embrace challenges. I kind of walk to them. And so even though there's days that are definitely challenging, COVID had some challenges. You know, when COVID hit and Adam's like, okay, what are we going to do? And I talked, and we're like, we just got to keep going. Like, just act like nothing's going on, keep doing, focus on the day to day and get it done. And, you know, everybody was in different places at that time emotionally, not knowing. Some people were fearful about losing their job, fearful about the virus. And just keep pushing forward to show them every day. I showed up every day, and whether people worked from home, I met them where they were. If they needed help, whatever it is, we're going to do it. So just getting through that. But I also think there was so much good that came out of it. Like, it really, I think, bonded some of our people, which I mean, and we had a really epic year, and we definitely hit our goals. And to see everybody just, keep heads down. When this all happened too, Adam, so our ISA team are the ones that take our leads and call set appointments for our agents. And, you didn't know what was going to happen with the market. Just, there's no crystal ball to tell us if you do. So he, such a great leader that he's like, you know what? I'm going to double down on their income and ask them to double down on their contacts for the ISA team. And we had a meeting about it. And so he was going to give them more money to make sure to keep them double down, because we knew we would have to make more contacts to get the same amount of. I mean, it was brilliant because it really did help keep everybody focused, keep everybody energized, keep everybody on the ISA team motivated to continue to come in. It was harder. You did have to make a lot more calls to get that yes, and that yes, I'm ready to go meet with.
Oh, that's really cool. So what has been the biggest win in your role?
I have a few.
Okay, cool. Love it.
Part of it is just building this amazing team that I consider them my family. They all work really hard.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to get emotional about that. Wow. But they all just every day, and they just do what they need to do and do whatever it takes. And that core value culture that we've built of people that we look for, that's talent. It's such a that team rowing all the same direction and working hard together. Probably most amazing thing ever. And then two, I just really, relationship with Adam, like he's such an amazing leader, visionary, and got a brilliant mind that there's never a problem. Like there's no problem we can't solve. And I feel that way too, but he breaks it down to where it just seems so simple. Like you'd be thinking this is the most complex. Oh, you just do this, this, and this. And I truly admire and respect him. And
Yeah, sometimes even on the market center side, he'll talk to me. He's like, yeah, just do this, right? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I guess I didn't think of it that way. So thank you. Yeah, that's cool. So with your team growing and you have this goal of closing over 2,000 transactions, how do you know when it's the right time to hire somebody?
I think I think you have to look at a couple things. We have a team of people that just truly have high capacities, and we always have, and we always kind of put as much as we can on those plates before we're ready to make the next move. But I think it's when you start realizing things are not getting done that need to get done, and you're seeing things that, man, I can't get to that to-do list. I mean, I'm right now holding those 3 plates, and I'm ready to find someone else to either help with my role or something, but we're not quite ready there.
Yeah.
So sometimes you stretch and you push through that, and so you just have to kind of see where the numbers are for the financials as well. Do you have the money to hire someone else? What does that job description look like? So tracking what is it that you're not getting done or you don't like to do that you would like someone else to do. What does the job description look like, and what's that missing persons report look like? So, I'm definitely I can see us finding someone to just do all the financials in the next. Actually, it could be that I go into the expansion director role and I replace.
Wow.
So I could see that in the next 6 months too. So
Cool. Through conversation, I think you have a certain return. Whenever you hire somebody, you're expecting them to return back to your business. Is that a certain percentage, right, that you have, or something you look for?
I mean, we definitely look for an ROI, especially on our ISA team and our agent team. Our ISA team, I mean, track their ROI. I mean, they actually bring to $12 for every dollar that we spend for them, which is a great return.
Yeah.
We're always looking for a 10% return on leads. And I think people that are really skilled at doing that role in the ISA role it's worth every penny that. As far as other, people like your admin team, it's hard to measure an ROI, but it's looking at that ROI to me is the capacity they can handle, the, the care that they give to the client. And then also, are they doing, they're also really great that they create their own systems. Like, I don't have to keep creating all the systems. Finding really amazing empire builders, and I'm not afraid to hire someone better than me, because I can see that in people, this amazing talent that people have, that I know that they can do greater things than I can do. I just need to give them all the tools and resources.
So I think you guys have a copy of this. So this is their organizational chart and a copy of everybody that's on their team. So when we talk about the next 5 years or the next couple of years for transactions, where do you see the next hires coming in?
Definitely, I know we will need another transaction admin person. I know we'll probably either outsource or add another marketing person, because as we grow, like that's a lot to track for marketing or expansion locations as well. We'll probably add another showing partner within the next 6 months to a year. And then we're currently, so this, I apologize, this org chart is a little bit outdated, so I need to get you an updated one, but we are still, we're hiring for 2 ISAs right now as well, so inside sales agents. And I will say on inside sales agents, I don't know how many of you have them, but some people treat them like they're not an agent or they're below an agent or they're quality of an agent. They're still a licensed agent and they're just as key to growing your business. Right person that can do that at a high level, like it's a game changer. For our first ISA, I knew she was talent. I knew she was an empire builder, got her the tools and systems. She's created a whole team of ISAs that she has built a team within the team. And you know, it's absolutely mind blowing to see what she's been able to build. And she made over 6 figures last year as an ISA. She's just as skilled as any one of our agents in the field, as far as talking to about objection handlers, talking all. I really strive to make sure that we don't look at our ISAs are just as talented as any agent on our team.
I love everybody on their team has kind of their own story. So when you think of Adam, I don't know if you guys know this, but Adam actually was a janitor at Remax when he was licensed. And so the way that he started from there, and he didn't go to college, and now he's built this $1 million business is exciting. Carrie actually had her own team. She was running her own team, and some of the people that are on the Graddy team were on that original team. And then 2018, they merged together and created this big mega team. And then Claire's story is the funniest of them all. She actually continued to call and say, hey, are you hiring? Are you hiring? And I was like, no. And then at some point he was like, wow, she's very persistent. Maybe we should give her a chance. And so they formed their ISA. And what's really exciting to see is Adam and Melinda have both found these empire builders and allowed them to create their own business within the business. So Claire, she's been able to start as the lead ISA and build an ISA team that's her own business within that. And Carrie with Showing Partners the same way. So that's so exciting to see.
It really is. I mean, Carrie has developed, you know, she's got 2 showing partners and buyer's agent, and she's built a whole system on just taking a showing partner and what steps do they need to master to become the next level, and then the next level buyer's agent themselves. And when you show people how to get there, then they're especially if you can show them what it looks like as they get there, eyes and what their responsibilities are, then they're in it for the long haul. And it doesn't mean we haven't had change on our team, but I think for the most part
Culture so important to you guys for that. So whenever you're hiring somebody, there's always good things and bad things that come out of it. So what is the good, bad, and the ugly when you go through the hiring process?
So with hiring, I definitely would say take career visioning, guys. You should take that class. It is, I strongly and passionately believe in that process of career visioning. And there's a brilliant man and his team developing this class to system for us to use to hire people. I mean, I hired tons of people when I never had a system like this. And it's what I love about it is as I'm doing a KPA and I'm getting to know that person, I'm getting some of their darkest secrets that they're sharing with me, and I'm getting to know them and connect with them and bond. And I truly count that as a blessing. I'm very that I get to have that experience with them. I take it as my job to take really great notes and convey everything I learn about them, because what we do is as we go through the career visioning process, get to know them and then learn their life. Then we do a group interview. So we used to have everyone on the team be a part of it. Now we'll just pick a good handful, 6 to 7 people. and we do a group interview, and I give them the KPA and notes. And Claire now does hiring. She hires her own team now, which is
Cool.
amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
But I want them to read that and understand it, learn from what they've learned, what I've learned about that person, and then ask really great questions. And the career visioning, I mean, such great questions that you learn in there, like the questions after getting to know them about their assessment. Questions that you learn, like how long are you willing to fail before you succeed? Shows you if they're going to have grit and if, that look like, and how are they going to push through to something on the other side? Because there's a lot of grit in this business that we do. It's not all good and fabulous every day. There's a lot of ugly at times, and dealing with that, either client that's really frustrated or the other agent that or the lender that just didn't do what they were supposed to do in order that appraisal on time, having to jump through tons of dodgeball every day.
Yeah, it is.
But hiring, I can't speak highly enough of career visioning. Haven't taken that class. It's worth it. I've taken it like 8 times, and like it literally is just a great class. And Gene Rivers, I think, does it but once you do that, you need to have a job profile. You need to have what is that 30, 60, 90 days like for them, and what goals do you want them to hit in that? So as we started growing the team, and I was doing, I said, I think we should hire an ISA, and he built those. What does that look like? And we did. We interviewed Claire. She's a past client too. She was a past client of Adam's, and we posted a thing on Facebook, and she called, and she was really interested, and she stayed in touch. I was ready to hire, and Adam, it took us like 6 months to make the final decision, but I mean, we wouldn't have. Now it's like, why didn't we do it sooner?
Yeah, that's exciting. And I don't know how many of you have went through the KPA process, but if you haven't with your Rainmaker, I strongly recommend it. It's a long process, yet it's one of the most intimate processes, and you really find out if it's a good fit or not. Figuring out, how do you win with them? How do you lose with that person? What their 5-year goal is. And that is like one of the most important parts of the KPA, in my opinion, because you are able to see what their goals are in 5 years. And if you can't meet those goals, or if you don't feel strongly that you can, then you shouldn't hire that person. And you need to reevaluate where you're at in your organization, because you're taking them on. It is part of your organization and saying, hey, I can help you get there. So how do you do that?
Have to keep creating that world big enough to encompass all of those goals that everyone on this team wants. And
yeah, it is. So what is next for Melinda? What is on your growth plan?
I love what I do every single day. I love operations. I love hiring people. I love growing people. I love building systems. I do love the financial part of it as well, but I love expansion. I'm loving seeing with expansion to know these agents and seeing that we can actually help them totally grow, and whether it's from scratch and they're a brand new agent, 5 years, or actually have a few people that we're looking that have been in the business like 20 years and have a small team, and how do we take them from 100? And I get really passionate about that. So honestly, it will probably be expansion director. And I'll have to replace myself, operations director at some point.
Wow, those are big shoes to fill.
I think it's the talent we have in this team. It's not me. It's everyone on this team that really makes this.
So I think you've really kind of cast the vision for everybody in this room of what this role can transform into. So what is some advice that you would give you, or director of operations, or maybe that's a team of 3? What advice would you give them?
definitely come in every day and love what you do. And if you're not loving it, what's going to help you want to love it? As you're the, you're the, Adam says, Melinda, you're really the boss. And I don't consider that myself the boss. I just see what, and building that culture. If you, to me, you create that you want to be a part of, and then you're got to keep that in front of everybody, and you got to keep talking about it, and you've got to have hard conversations sometimes with people privately, of course, but you want to make sure you're setting that culture. And then, because if you can build that really amazing culture, then you're going to keep those people, even if you're going through growing pains, and even if you're asking them to stretch and take on extra work. Because again, our team, one of our standards is we do whatever. We just do. Call me and I'll just knock it out. Like, so we just do whatever it takes. Like, I set that expectation up front. So know what you want to build, I guess, if you're brand new, and make sure you and your rainmaker are in on what that is. And then just start building it and take it every day. You sometimes will have to push your rainmaker, and you've got to set accountability into place, because as you start building a team, there's no standards and there's no accountability, then it's going to be the wild, wild west. And, Adam doesn't want to manage. That's what he hired me to do. He's great at coaching them and advising them and helping them with strategy and think through. And I can say, okay, goal is to make 150,000 this year. So let's break that down, and then that. And how many appointments do you need to go on? And then meeting with them to go through, and are they hitting those numbers? And if they're not, what activities do they need to do in order to? And we would share, we have job profile standards, 30, 60, all of the positions that we have, and we would I email them to agents across the country sometimes.
I think that's one of the most empowering things. You're in this role for a reason, right? Your rainmaker hired you because they saw a need and they see what you potentially bring to the table. And so it's okay to have those conversations of expectations. And if you're holding them accountable, great. And at times it may be a little uncomfortable for them, for you to say, hey, this is what we talked about. This is where we're at. But being able to, especially at the beginning, setting those expectations of what they're wanting and how you can help them, and just continually having those conversations about that. I think that's super important. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Does anyone have any questions for Melinda? And if you do, online, you can either unmute yourself or type it in the chat. And then here, Nicole will bring a mic for you guys. Polly has a question, Nicole.
So this might be a little difficult to answer. I think it kind of piggybacks off of what you were just saying. How do I handle a situation, or how would you handle a situation where, so my rainmaker, he does want, where he just wants to focus on setting the appointments, getting the contracts, and then I handle everything else. And he also has a really hard time letting go of the control. So I find myself running into where I've done all these steps that were my opinion of the expectation. And then he comes and says, oh, I already did all those. So then I spend a lot of time backtracking. So it's like wasted time. How do I handle that? Maybe train him to let go of some of the control or something
Yeah.
like that. Because great leader, and just like feels more comfortable with that control. and at the same time doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Does that make
Of
sense?
course.
Absolutely.
Of
So
course.
how can I handle that?
So what I would do, and every remaker, they busted their butt to build a business, right? So
Yeah,
and they
absolutely.
had to do it all. Like it was just them. So it is hard to get them to let go at times. And first of all, you just show up and you show them that you're in it to win it to every day, and you're going to take stuff off their plate. So for Adam, like I'd literally take stuff away from him. Like, nope, I got this. Nope, I got this. I already saw that in your email. I took care of it. And I showed him that could do it. And then if they still aren't giving it to you or just letting you handle it, you're going to have a frank conversation with them and say, you know what? I love that what you've built in this business, but I am here with you. And if I can keep you out in the field calling to where you can focus on dollar producing activities, let me handle everything else. And if I mess up, I'll own it and we'll talk about it and we'll move forward. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human, but let me own it and let me take it off your plate so that you can keep. That's what's going to help us grow.
Yeah. And part of that career visioning leverage series, it's all. So it's career visioning, learning how to hire, and then it's success through others. And when Melinda says 30, 60, 90, whenever you hire somebody, it's what do you want them to accomplish in the first 30, 60, and 90 days of their employment? And part of that is, okay, I do it and they just watch me. Then we do it together. And then I'm going to let the person I hire do it the next 30 days for the last 30 days. And so that is a great conversation to have of saying, okay, I've seen what you've done. We're doing it together. Now let me do it. And then it can come back through a checks and balance kind of thing. But yeah, that's exactly.
And you as a leader, don't forget to inspect what you expect after that, because you can't just expect someone to remember everything they learn in a short amount of time and not make mistakes. And we actually, that's one thing I again admire about Adam is, you know what, he's made every mistake out there. He knows we're all going to make mistakes, and we celebrate failure because that's how we grow. And there's times in our team meeting that we'll say, hey, who had a failure this week, and we'll talk about it because we can all learn from that lesson and grow from it, and hopefully but it's gonna, and as fast as we move, and in this business of real estate, it gets messy. It's not always cupcakes. Like, it's faster, and it's things that are like you're putting out fires, so don't be afraid to embrace and walk right into that fire and just out.
And that's like in the expectations of how do you lose with you. I tell people, like, don't lie to me. If you mess up, own it and let's fix it, because I'm not perfect at all and I don't expect you guys to be perfect. And so if you just say, hey, I messed up, then let's figure it out. And so we know what worked and what not to do next time. So
It's one of my favorite things that I love so much about the career visioning, but that expectation dialogue, if you don't do that step, you're really missing out, because it's such a key to know how to communicate with that person, and them know how to communicate with you. And if you can't be straight with them, or they can't be straight with you, one of the things that I really strongly and passionately feel about our culture is, if I have a problem with you, then I'm going to go talk to you about it, and we're going to figure this out. But don't go talk to 10 other people, and that's just drama, and that's not something we have time for, and we don't have, I don't have a lot of patience for it either. So, and I'm a really patient person, but I just believe if you have a problem with someone, go and talk to them. They're the only person that can fix it with you. The other 10 people that you might want to tell, all they're doing is passing judgment, and they don't even know both sides of the story. So if you can build your culture on that, that is a really, to me, it's a foundational piece for our culture. Is you like something, and don't let pet peeves are not, that's a problem with you, not with them. Reflection you need to look at yourself about.
Lindy. I know, right? Ask all the questions. Let's do it.
When you transition from the wearer of all hats, because I know that you used to do everything, to the operations manager role, what did you choose as your 20%? And then how did you create your boundaries when people kept coming to you for the things that you've already passed on? So what'd you choose for 20%? And what'd you cut off?
I really decided what I really loved and what I'm good at. And the things that I'm not good at, then those were what I would hire for. If I'm looking for a transaction coordinator, then I'm going to look for someone that's really good at that. If I'm looking at marketing, then and if there's stuff, I love everything I'm doing right now, but I really the numbers and the financials, I mean, it's time. Like I'm doing it at 10 o'clock at night because that's the only time I'm getting to it. And so I'm ready to find someone that can really be highly successful at that. So just making sure what I want to get rid of and then hiring to that. And then if they're continually coming back to me, maybe it could be a couple of things. One, do I need to go over the standards again and maybe show them what my expectation of them is? Or could they just, are they the type of person that just needs that assurance? I don't know. But if that's the case, then I would just empower them. Hey, I empower you you've done this enough times to make a mistake. I got your back. Everything's fixable. In my opinion, everything is fixable in real estate. It may not be all fun to fix, but it's fixable. So empower them to fail and let them fail, and they're going to figure out, and they're going to come to you and say, hey, I screwed up. But definitely empower them to own a mistake and bring it to you right away so you can fix it. Because if you find someone that's sweeping stuff on the rug, you don't want that. And you want to make sure they know that is not a good thing. We've got to embrace it. We got to walk through that fix. So, but it could be that they may need to go over their standards again, what your expectation of them is.
I think so. The new millionaire real estate agent hiring models are coming out here hopefully soon. And now it's first hire an admin whenever you're ready to go. And the second step is now hiring a transaction coordinator. So in my mind, that is kind of the first easiest thing to give away is transaction coordination, because it's all built around a system of how you want to operate. And when Melinda mentioned the VA option, there's a lot of people that are now contracting VAs that are able to take those tedious tasks away. Was there anything else other than transaction coordination that maybe you found that you didn't like that you kind of leveraged away?
And I honestly loved the
I know.
transaction.
I know
I mean,
you still do.
I loved just taking care of people.
Yeah.
Like that is probably to my core. Learning about myself in the last 5 years, I learned I truly love helping people. Like that is in my blood, and it is something like I will go to extensive measures to make people happy, which is probably a little crazy, but it's something that I love. And so, if there's anything else that, I mean, listing side, definitely not Delana and Sam on our team are masters at that and the detail of the listing. I'm going to tell you, I'd probably make multiple mistakes on putting a listing on, and that's okay. I would fix them, but it's that intricate detail. The contract to close, it's detail, but it's also a lot of communication with clients and a lot of customer service, and just like the challenges are fun to me. So like getting through inspection notices, that part of it. So, and Lindy, I was going to tell you one other thing that came to mind. Sometimes when people are new, it just depends. We're all different personalities, and every personality has their strengths. And it could be that has to build that confidence to feel like they really know what they're doing. Like, tell me the last time you made a mistake, or what do you think the answer is, and make them kind of self-discover what the answer is, so you're not always giving them the answer.
else has a question? Okay, cool.
Like you mentioned earlier about when an agent needs to write an offer, they'll just reach out and one of the admins will pick it up. Like how does the agent get all the details of the offer over to the admin and then so they know what they're writing?
That is a great question. We actually have a template that we use because we just need, we have, for most contracts, we have certain, just like in .loop or but you have your templates and you can utilize your templates, and we have standards in our contracts that we pretty much do 99%. So we have that template built. And so the offer details are just a template, whether we're sending offer details to Adam on the list side or we're getting offer details from the buy side. It's all the same things. It's sales price, closing costs, earnest money, closing option A, because 99% it is, but we want to, how many days for inspections, 0 property data days, or have those some homes where you're not going to want option A, you're going to want option B. Agreements is right now with the market escalatory clause in there, appraisal gap. And so we just have it in a template where people save it in their notes, they fill it out and text it out. And if we have questions, like follow-up questions, or as we're training new agents, like in our agent in Kansas City, to give us the information we need to write that offer, I may pick up the phone and say, okay, I didn't see this on there, so what are you thinking about that? Did you have any appraisal gap? Because the Kansas City market is totally different than our market. Their forms are, it's very customary there to not do inspection, or sorry, it's customary there to do inspections, but not ask for any repairs. It's customary there, like some of them are going 25, 30,000 over asking price, and some of them are waiving inspections and even appraisal. So we just on Monday had a listing go live on Friday, and he got 20 offers in that listing.
Wow.
So then making that spreadsheet of all the different offers and what's going to be the best for the.
So if one of your showing partners is showing a house and that person says, I love it, I want to write an offer, does the showing partner go through the contract with them and start filling that out? Or what does that look like?
So again, we built, like Carrie's built that really great system of that handoff, so we've really learned to build great handoffs. And so in a team our size, you really have to build the culture. It's not about me. It's about this team and what we can do with this team and the power of that team. And it's, from the ISA handing it off to whether it's the showing partner or buyer agent. And then that agent, if it's a showing partner, they're passing it back to Carrie, and she's doing all the contract writing negotiations. So then when they're ready to write an offer, they're saying, hey, Carrie, they're ready to write this offer. Carrie's going to all the details, get all the information, send it to our contract coordinators, write the offer and send it. And but there's times where we're going through inspections and we need the agent to tag back in. We're having some bad problems and we need to work through this. And that's okay. Like it's, we learn every deal they're all different, but we're learning every day what. So, take each one by that day and figure out how to fix it. And
So for inspection notices, I think that comes up a lot of the times. What do your transaction coordinators or agents, are there like any certain things that they're looking for, like 3 main factors in inspections? Is it like health or safety, or is there anything that they're for to know what to ask?
just teaching them to really, go through it and look at it like with buyer eyes and look at it like what would be a concern. And to me, the biggest thing you really need to do is not only look at it, but do you need to bring in a professional, another person? Like, is the HVAC, do you not know what to do? And if you got to ask questions. So really digging in and asking professionals, whether it's the inspector, because I don't know everything about started. I had no idea, but I would not be afraid to pick that phone up and call the inspector and ask questions. And then if they couldn't answer the question to me and my satisfaction, because I'm thinking, this is a buyer, this is maybe their first home. I want to make sure they get the best representation and due diligence that they possibly can. Just trying to look at it through their eyes, and you might need a structural expert, so you might need to call that, or electrician or a plumber or a roof to check the roof out. I mean, those things don't want, and it doesn't mean it doesn't that there's $30,000 worth of damages out. And no inspector's perfect. I can tell you that. And I tell people that, like, if I'm working with a buyer myself, I tell them, like, hey, there's and showing partner points stuff out during the showing. They're really good at pointing out things that could be a red flag that we need to make sure we investigate. But again, and then we also encourage the buyer to ask the inspector questions too. So then deciding, do we need another professional to go out and get further investigation or inspections? Like yesterday, there was one where it had a rusted heat exchanger. Well, I've seen, and as you build the knowledge, you start to learn what's important and what's not. And do I need to send someone out to check this out? I know with a rusted heat exchanger, eventually that could cause it to not function, and it could also cause carbon monoxide to build up. So, and I've only learned that because I called the HVAC guy and I listened to what he said about what that for other repair was. And so just building that knowledge base of person that becomes the expert on what needs to be done next, and being able to share that with a client. Like we have a foundation that definitely needed checked out, and brought a structural engineer in. Not a structural engineer, you can do that, but that costs quite a bit of money. Brought in a structural professional, and he said about $3,900 worth of. We are real estate agents, but we aren't experts. We have to know that, and we have to make sure our buyer gets the due diligence, whether they do it themselves or we encourage them to call someone. Like our team, we call and get those things scheduled for them, but you may not have time for that. So if you don't, then make sure you have a list of resources. And I would just encourage them, anything you're worried that looks strange, definitely, because you can't do anything about it.
Anybody else have any questions? Jen, perfect.
Hello, Melinda. My question is, so you have your transaction coordinators doing quite a bit of work and kind of on the fly on weekends, nights, whatever. Are you paying them a salary and not worrying about hourly and overtime, or are you?
They are all on salary, yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So I didn't know if there was like a call schedule you had as well, or.
We do. There's times where there's people will be off and say, hey, I'm out this weekend. And I truly, as you build a team, you're going to need that. Everybody needs some downtime. Encourage that. And there's a lot of times I have built really amazing team that own their role to a really high level, but I truly will be their backup to make sure that they do get that downtime. So I'm always telling them, please, the weekend, take it and just let me know. I'm there to help take care of that. But they don't utilize me that much because they own their roles. And I set that precedent at the beginning. I've had other director of operations for big teams ask me, how do you do? It's just, so I did that with Adam. I started that expectation, and that I set that expectation as I'm hiring, and so, I want them to, if they're busy, they say, hey, I'm busy or not available right now, and somebody has time to do it, or it may not be urgent, and the agent will say, this is not urgent, this can wait. So that communication is really important to know, because everybody has stuff and they all deserve time with their families. But just who can pick it up and who urgent right now, kind of thing.
I found myself just taking that on myself, trying to protect my team. And so that's a learning curve for me to try to say, I mean, Taylor's amazing. She wants to do that. And so I need to figure out what that looks like on our team now that there's people willing to do that, because I've always just, I think that would be a training like Lindy mentioned. Not Jen anymore. We have people on call. Learning process and keep communicating that. It's great.
And I will tell you, it's so funny that when we started to build this team, there were times Adam really like, Melinda, you got to let other people take stuff on. And so, you know, I wanted to protect them too, and not expect that out of them, because I was definitely willing to do it. But what I love is I'm now seeing that I don't even know sometimes that stuff is going on, and and truly makes you so proud of them. Like, and it, you know, it's neat to see that growth in a person that you have hired and helped.
Cool. Love it.
He was a talent that got away from me.
I am here because of Melinda. I will fully admit that.
I
She
tried to hire her, but Doug got her first.
she is the whole reason I believe in
forgot
Keller
about
Williams is
that. Oh
because of
my
her. And I went
gosh.
through the whole process with her, and I can say that like it's amazing what comes out of that process. Yeah.
He's amazing talent. So
Well, thank
she's
you.
the one that got
You'll have
away.
to definitely fight Doug if you're trying to take her away.
No,
He's like, I don't know.
Thank you
ask
for
Wendy.
seeing that in me. Yes. You were talking about how like, one contract needed an HVAC, one needed are you that involved in contracts still, or have you let all that go? Or you just hear it like by the wayside, or?
I was that involved, and I owned that file. Like I truly took it to heart that I wanted to make sure we got the best for that client. But now, I mean, I do with expansion, we do have Grace who's doing all of our expansion, but she isn't licensed. And so she does still have questions on how do I handle this and who do I call? And so there's time, especially with Eric being on vacation, that I'm going to make phone calls with those clients and talk to them and walk them through that process.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Thank you, Melinda, for sharing all of your wealth of knowledge. And if you guys have any other questions later on, please feel free to let me know. Next month, like I said, I am trying to bring in a Director of Operations Maps coach. Hopefully the head Maps coach, Nicole Zuber, will be able to join us, but if not, her right-hand person will be able. And that is, I'm forgetting July. Let me see what date that is really quick so you guys can go ahead and put that on your calendar. July 22nd. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll finalize that and make sure, but probably July 22nd. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us, and I hope you guys have a great day. Yeah.